Well, folks, we got a big Battlegrounds update coming. They've been teasing this one for a while, and it is enormous. Tons of new minions, a new keyword specific to Battlegrounds, I guess, and some rule changes and just a ton of stuff, and it hits tomorrow. So we don't have a lot of notice on this one. In this video, I'm going to recap the major news points and also do just a really quick, soft review of the new minions. I'm going to play a ton of Battlegrounds these days. I'm planning to play a fair bit for this update, but, we'll run through the minions, talk through them, and give some very brief insights on each of the new minions. So, first things first, we'll just read through this basically in order. The new keyword, Avenge. That means a minion will do something after X number of friendly minions die. So maybe 3 minions die and something happens. 37 new minions are coming with 2 new heroes. We'll talk more about Avenge, of course, as we go through these minions. Also, some fundamental changes to the game. So they've added a damage cap of 15 until the first player dies. So you're not going to get hit for like 30 anymore and get knocked out of the game. I guess you can't deal more than 15 damage at a given turn until somebody dies of actual combat. So if they kill themselves, if they disconnect, those don't count, which is specified later. It has to actually be a lethal blow from combat. They're also lengthening turn timers for a bit to help people get familiar with the new content, which sounds like a good change. And your ratings will be reset, as is typical, I guess, with major Battlegrounds updates. Now, there is a video. We're not going to watch the whole thing here. It basically just shows some of the action, some of the new heroes. Looks like there's kind of a Zordon bartender Bob here of sorts, a floating head Bob, which I love. Just all kinds of crazy new cosmetics. Getting kind of a superhero theme, maybe, it seems. These look like superhero type characters. Beyond that, I think... there's one other kind of update here. Well, Darkmoon prizes have been disabled, but also you're going to get a new hero offering bonus, which is great because sometimes it's really hard to find those new heroes if you have Battlegrounds perks. Like you play 30 games and not see a new hero. So this guarantees that they will show up in lobbies. You're still not guaranteed to get it yourself, but at least people are going to be playing with it and your chances will definitely be much higher. So now let's talk about the new heroes. First up, we got Master Win. Awesome panda dude. We don't have enough pandas in Hearthstone, I always say. Hero power, Power of the Storm. At the start of every turn, choose from 2 new hero powers. So this is kind of like you're going to discover a hero power every turn. Just 2 choices instead of 3. So you can imagine some pretty crazy stuff. Like if you got Reno's hero power, you can make a minion golden. That would be completely busted. But you're only going to get to use it that specific turn, so you can't like use it on a key minion at some key point in the game. Maybe you might get George's hero power to give something Divine Shield, so on and so forth. So this could have some consistency issues, but I could also imagine some magic moments where you just power spike off something that's perfect for a game state. Now, I don't know if this is going to be from any given hero powers in the game, from a specific pool, if there are limitations. They don't really specify, so that could definitely impact the power level on this one, but it seems like a really fun hero, even if it's not necessarily a competitive one. Next up here, we have Cariel Rome with Conviction as her hero power. Oh boy, we all want more Conviction. This gives a random friendly minion +1/+1 for 1 gold, so a small buff that's going to upgrade over time. Then it's going to give 3 random friendly minions +1/+1, and then finally... you're going to give 5 random friendly minions +1/+1. So just some natural scaling stats that hit anything on board. They don't demand any kind of specificity or build type, which seems like it's going to be a really consistent hero power. We've seen some other ones like this work in the past, but I think they had a little bit more power spike because this takes a little while to get rolling. Cthulhu, as a comparison in the late game, might be giving like 10/10 in buffs, but it's, 2 gold. This is going to give 5/5 in buffs per turn, basically. So you can imagine comparing it to other buff heroes and try to break down. Seems like it's going to be solid to me, maybe not too amazing. Although, again, I am not certainly a Battlegrounds expert. So now let's take a look at these minions, and I frankly have not looked at these yet. So this is really less of an insight and more of a discovery. We're going to discover these together. Consider this more news than expert opinion. So we've got a new beast here, the Leapfrogger. It's a cute little squirrel, I guess, or fox or something with a frog on the back. It's tier 2, 3/3. Death Rattle give a friendly beast +2/+2 and this Death Rattle. So kind of like an explorer's hat on a minion. That's kind of cool. You could pass this back and forth, and if you had tokens, you could shuffle this around amongst all your tokens as long as you have another beast. So that's pretty fun. Seems like a way to make token builds for beasts more less all at once. Like right now you get all the tokens that get buffed by a mama bear or a pack leader or whatever. This kind of spreads it out over time, so if things are maybe taking alternate deaths and you don't need to go all in on that one minion necessarily, this seems a little more interesting. That's cool design. Sewer Rat here, also a beast, 3/2 tier 2 this time. Death Rattle, summon a 2/3 turtle with taunt. That seems pretty cool. Just a little sticky stat option here. Taunt can make an impact, particularly you got these death rattles rolling around. Could be good or bad, but again, a little token support, but less maybe wideboard token and more individual minion token. This is definitely a replacement for like Kindly Grandmother, and it feels much stronger, obviously, right? That's a 1/1 that summons a 3/2. This is a 3/2 that summons a 2/3 that also has some potential upside with taunt. Next up is the Bird Buddy. Oh, that's sweet. He's got birds. It's a tier 3 2/4 with Avenge 1. Give your beast +1/+1. So this means, again, after one unit dies, this guy's going to buff every beast on board during combat. Now, I don't know if Avenge... Now, I think Avenge is only a one-time trigger. It doesn't actually specify if it happens multiple times. But a nice little beast buff. Here's the Reanimating Rattler, a tier 4 beast. It's a 6/2. Battlecry, give a friendly beast reborn. Okay, so kind of a buff in a way, a sticky buff to play into all this token stuff. And again, I think a little bit more narrow token as opposed to wide board token, which is kind of cool. Shifts beasts in a direction that cannot get maybe so board locked as it currently often does if you try to play for like rat packs and stuff, which never works. Everybody goes for Goldren beasts instead, right? Because you don't have those same board lockout problems. So anyway, you get some stats to trade up, and you get, if it's left behind on board, and you get a nice little reborn bonus. That seems like it could be really cool. We know how powerful reborn can be with Lich King. Here's the Pale Scale Crocolisk, a tier 5 beast, Avenge 2 and Death Rattle. Give another friendly beast +6/+6. So a total of 12 in stats out of the buff, plus a 4/5. Seems like a good tempo option for a 5/5, but doesn't necessarily scale especially well since these are only combat buffs. So this won't get big over time, but maybe a good dump on board if you just need a beast in your rotation that does some cool stuff. And maybe Death Rattle synergies to explore there as well, of course, with things like Baron, assuming that's still in the game, but there are a ton of removed minions, which we should take a look at real quick, I guess, since we're looking at all these minions. My god, there are so many new minions. I may have to go a little bit faster here. So removed minions, yeah, like Pack Leader, Kindly Grandmother for the beasts are gone. Looks like maybe we're keeping the tokens for beasts. Some people thought tokens might get removed, but I don't see that here. Vermin Sensei, we got like the reborn replacement there. So yeah, you can see the replacements are kind of happening one for one in a way. It seems like keeping the same sort of balance of tiers and numerical numbers across tiers, but just making replacements that fine-tune the strategies perhaps. So that said, let's move on over to demons here. The Impulsive Trickster, tier 1 2/2. Death Rattle, give this minion's maximum health to a friendly minion. Oh, that's cool. So you buff this a bunch via whatever, and its health is going to trade over. This is a lot like Fiendish Servant with attack, but this goes for health instead, which, I don't know, this has got better base stats a little bit. And if you have one awesome minion or, you know, something that's got poisonous, for instance, you might be able to like trade this off and get that thing to take multiple trades. Seems kind of cool. I mean, I think attack in some ways like helps you shore up a weak board by helping smaller stuff trade up. But this could make one awesome thing maybe you kind of funnel down towards, or just spread these stats across, which can be nice if you have high attack or other synergistic sort of things. The Icky Imp is a tier 1 1/1 with a Death Rattle that summons 2 1/1 imps. Okay, so seems great for stuff like a juggler, assuming we have a juggler. I don't know the best way to break this down, by the way. Forgive me if it's annoying to go back and forth here, but I don't know. It seems like Juggler is still in the game. So token juggles. Looks pretty cool with the Icky Imp there, as long as you have board space. Impatient Doomsayer. That's awesome art. I love all the new art, by the way. It looks really good so far. Some of it was old, I think, but still, new stuff's awesome. Tier 3 Avenge 3, add a random demon to your hand. Oh, so some value generation here. You get 3 minions to die, which is going to be super easy with cards like Icky Imp, it seems, and you get some value in hand. So a bit like, you know, the tier 6 Jenny dude for elementals that gives you elementals when it dies, but with a little bit of a condition. That's still pretty sweet, though. Seems like a good card. Good high health total as well. Next up is Catherineteer, a tier 4 demon. 7/5, pretty good stats there. Your other demons have +3 attack, and your hero is immune. Oh, so this is basically a Mal'Ganis replacement, I'm guessing. Did Mal'Ganis go away? This is tier 4 instead of tier 5. Maybe there's both, but Mal'Ganis did go away. So again, a wide board support for demons, helping you trade up your small tokens so they trade really well. The health often didn't matter off Mal'Ganis as much, so it's cool that this is still attack. And the immunity, of course, is going to give you options for like Wrath Weavers sooner in the game, because Mal'Ganis can be hard to find. This guy will be easier to find, so you can maybe scale your Wrath Weavers a little bit faster, which seems pretty impactful. Next up is the Insatiable Urzul, tier 5, 4/6 taunt. After you play a demon, consume a minion in Bob's Tavern to gain its stats. Oh, that sounds sick. That's really cool, just eating Bob's minions. So you got some big stuff in the tavern. High statted cards. You can eat them and gain a ton of stats after you play a bunch of small tokens. That seems really fun. I like that a lot. Some good scaling potential there. There's also the Famished Fellbat. Let's see, tier 6, 9/5. At the end of your turn, each friendly demon consumes a minion in Bob's Tavern to gain its stats. Oh, same thing here as the Urzul, but this makes it happen for all friendly demons. So some really cool scaling potential off that. I love it. That is very fun sounding. Also, you'll note a lot of these are attack focused. This is a 9/5, a 7/5. This gives attack, which kind of helps seem to support the idea of the trickster here, you know, shoring up health totals perhaps, while other things are slightly more attack focused. Imagine this 18/10. We haven't been talking about the Goldens here. I don't know if any of these did anything particularly unique compared to what you'd expect, which is just doubling. It looks like so far everything is just doubling as expected, so that's cool. All right, next up, I guess we're heading over to Mechs with the Pup Bot. That's really cute. It's tier 1, 2/1 Divine Shield. Okay, so nice little sneaky minion to take some stickiness early and maybe buff up very easily. If you follow up with buffs here, you got a nice Divine Shield right off the bat, which is actually pretty cool, I think. We've also got the Mechano Tank, a tier 4, deals 6 Avenge 2, deals 6 damage to the highest health enemy minion. So after 2 things die, this is going to deal 6 to the highest health enemy minion, which is kind of like a juggler almost, just like a 12 damage ping basically to a thing. But I guess if the first blast kills it, it's gonna roll over to a second minion, which is some nice flexibility for sure. Oh, real quick, I just got confirmation I was wrong about Avenge. It can go off multiple times. Can be triggered multiple times. So let's go back and take a quick look at these cards we talked about that had Avenge and change that. I mean, this seems nuts to me now. Like, this could go off so many times if you have a bunch of token beasts. That's going to be a crazy board buff because it only takes 1 to die and then everything else rolls over. That seems like a very powerful short-term combat engine. Doesn't scale, of course, because it's happening in combat, but still nuts. This also gets a little bit better too, of course, takes a couple hits, but you're going to start stacking stats big time with the Crocolisk if you have some tokens. Also, the Impatient Doomsayer, like this, if you get a lot of little tokens, you're going to get some crazy value off this, right? Just a couple Icky Imps dying off. You're getting multiple demons added to hands, pushing really quickly, perhaps. And then that's, the Mechano Tank, which we just talked about. This could go off a lot. So this is a bit more like a juggler. If you have a bunch of microbots dying, this is just going to machine gun people down for big chunks of damage. It seems actually now quite powerful. It's crazy because a lot of these seem like they needed multiple triggers, but that one beast card to me seems like it's so much stats for a pretty cheap buff minion there. So anyway, that's pretty crazy. So let's move on here to the Grease Bot, another tier 4 mech. After a friendly minion loses Divine Shield, give it +2/+1 permanently. Oh, okay, cool. So some scaling off of Divine Shields. Now, I wonder if that is going to mean that we lose or keep our tier 3 friend whose name is blanking on me, the guy who gets Divine Shield every time a mech gets summoned. It looks like he stays, losing Iron Sensei instead. So that guy could get buffed a ton, right? This is a great way to potentially scale that, because you could have 2 or 3 Divine Shield pops in a single game if things, or single fight if things go really well. So gaining a bunch of stats over time, much faster scaling than like Iron Sensei, for instance. So that's pretty fun. Next up's the Holy Meckrel. We had the Holy Meckrel before. After friendly minion loses Divine Shield, gain Divine Shield. Okay, so very similar effect. Actually, maybe the exact same effect with perhaps slightly different stats. I can't remember the specifics, but pretty crazy. And this is, again, not just limited to mechs. It is any friendly minion. So some shenanigans might be possible here, but you can't, importantly, give this one poisonous like you could Holy Mackerel before, so the scaling potential may be a little bit more limited, but you can still see some Divine Shield cycling happening across all of these cards. Moving on to the Omega Buster, a tier 6 mech. Death Rattle summoned 6 1/1 microbots. For each that doesn't fit, give your mechs +1/+1. Oh, I love it. That's so much fun. Because, you know, board space limitations always seem frustrating at Battlegrounds, but now you have some actual upside. If you're losing those microbots, you're kind of, you know, magnetizing them to your minions in essence, which is pretty sweet. So putting this guy first and just giving maybe your board a big buff right off the bat would be pretty sweet. Now it's not permanent buff, so this is just in combat. You know, you might need certain Death Rattle synergies and stuff to make this really pop off, kind of like Goldrin almost for beasts, but still seems like some nifty potential. So next up, we've got Murlocs. The Salt Scale Honcho is a tier 2. After you play a Murloc, give 2 other friendly Murlocs +1 health. Okay, so some health scaling on your Murlocs if you keep this guy around, which seems pretty cool. Cold Light Oracle can be hard sometimes, but you just keep this guy there and everything gets buffed. Now, I wonder if that is going to indicate that Poisonous sticks around. Let's take a look if we still have Toxfin. We don't have Toxfin. So we may need actual attack buffs on Murlocs unless we see another Murloc here that changes that. I was going to say Murlocs don't need attack because they can get poisonous, but they might need actual attack if they don't have poisonous. So let's just keep reading. I don't know. I legit don't know. I'm not being sneaky. I haven't seen these. Next up is the Swolefin, a tier 3 Murloc. Battlecry gain +2/+1 for each other friendly Murloc. Okay, so you got a lot of Murlocs on board. He gets pretty stacked, and then I guess if you can golden this, he gets really stacked potentially. A lot of stat gain potential there, and he is attack focused, which might work nicely with the Salt Scale Honcho, buffing the health to compensate. Next up is the SI Sephin instead of 7. Sephin. It's really hard to say. Tier 5, Avenge 3, give a friendly Murloc poisonous permanently. Okay, so this is the replacement for Toxfin, making it perhaps a little harder to give Murlocs poisonous, but one minion can kind of do your whole board if you're trading Murlocs in and keep this alive. So that's pretty cool. You know, I don't think you're likely to get more than 2 procs on this in a fight, and that's if things go perfectly, but maybe 1 proc per fight to help your Murlocs catch up, so this health buff actually does matter. Next up is the Seafood Slinger, a tier 6 Battlecry. Make a Murloc golden. Oh, fun. So you wouldn't benefit from like the played aspect because it'd be golden on board, but things like the Salt Scale Honcho would scale your health a lot faster. The Sephin could give poisonous to more minions more quickly, which is pretty nice. You can toss this guy away. I'm thinking about other Murlocs that are in the pool that might be really good with this, that do something extra because of goldenness on board. Nothing is coming to mind, but feel free to toss some other synergies in that make sense, excuse me, for this card. All right, next up here, we've got Dragons, the Evolving Chroma Wing, a tier 1, 1/3. After you upgrade your Tavern tier, double this minion's attack. Oh, cool. Okay, so If you can buff this attack in any way, maybe a cool way to scale some attack, or maybe it just becomes like a 4/3 kind of free throughout the course of the early game to help you keep up. And if you golden it, you triple too, which is cool. Kind of like I don't know the name, the tier 2 thing that doubles on attack, but this just happens permanently. You don't need to attack, which can change things like your attack order and stuff, where you don't have to put those dragons first. Glyph Guardian maybe is the name of that card. Whelp Smuggler's a tier 2 non-dragon, but synergistic. After a friendly dragon gains attack, give it +2 health. Okay, so maybe some attack buff stuff happening here with this guy and this, maybe more. Next up's Terragosa, tier 3. This permanently keeps enchantments from combat. Oh, cool. So if you have combat values, maybe happening here, maybe attacks are gained in combat, maybe in the tavern, we don't know, but some cool potential scaling off of this. Trying to think of what other cards might activate this in combat that currently exist. There probably are some, but I guess actually does Divine Shield count with like Nadina the Red, for instance? Would it permanently keep Divine Shield? I don't know. Maybe. Probably other possibilities. Feel free to enlighten me in the comments. Next up's the prized Promo Drake, a tier 4 5/5. Start of combat, give adjacent minions +1/+1 for each friendly dragon. Oh, that's super cool. So this is a permanent buff, could be gained off of this guy, because this is a combat buff, not a tavern buff. But you can actually turn your combat buffs now into permanent buffs. So maybe some cool effects there, particularly with goldening these. I like that. It's fun scaling. Next up's Prester's Pyro Spawn, a tier 4. Whenever another friendly dragon attacks, deal 3 damage to its target. Oh, that's crazy. Could be a way to pop off Divine Shields or just increment damage a little bit. That's pretty fun. All right, those are the dragon changes. I haven't really thought about the implications of all this with the current set, because it doesn't seem like a whole lot of new cards, but still some fun new ideas. So next up, we got Pirates. I think Pirates, they teased some big changes. I don't know. Not that many, though, really. Well, let's see. Now, first up's the tier 2 Defiant Shipwright. After you upgrade your tavern tier, add a random pirate to Bob's Tavern. So pretty good stats on this at a base level. And then if you push tiers, because you may be getting a lot of gold, you get some pirate consistency added, maybe get more gold, etc. Tier 3 Briny Bootlegger. At the end of your turn, if you have another pirate, add a gold coin to your hand. So that doesn't seem like it scales with a number, just yes or no. So some free gold potential. I'm going to look real quickly at the pirates that might be getting removed. Did we lose like the play a pirate scaling guy? No, we lost the attack buff pirate guy. And no pirates lost on tier 4, maybe. We lost Nat Pagel and Seabreaker Goliath on 5, so keep that in mind. I really didn't look closely at dragons, by the way. Did we lose any dragons? We lost Hangry Dragon, only tier 3. We lost Hogwaggle for dragon. Steward of Time was the buff guy, right? We lost Dragon Spawn, the 2/3. That new tier 1 replaced that. Sorry, I forgot to look at dragons earlier. I know I'm all over the place. Forgive me. Next up is Peggy Brittlebone. That's a cool name. Tier 4. After a card is added to your hand, to give another random pirate +1/+1. Oh, interesting. So that's buying cards. That's coins getting added to hand. That's pretty sweet. That's nuts. That's a lot of potential pirate scaling buffs. I like that a lot. That seems like a really fun tier 4 buff engine. Next up's Tony Two Tusk, another great name. He's got a tier 5, Avenge 5, make another friendly pirate golden permanently. Oh, that's sick. So if he lives through a combat, that's pretty crazy, because these are all going to scale way better when they're golden, right? That is really cool. That seems awesome. Now, I will say a lot of these Avenge cards are making me think Taunt is going to be more important than ever, because if these die first, their Avenge effect is not going to go off. And like Avenge 5 is enormous, right? That's a lot of minions that have to die. So I wonder if taunts are going to be really important to get. Next up is tier 6, the Nosy Looter. Every 2 turns, add a random golden minion to your hand. I think we saw this one teased previously along with the Briny Bootlegger. This is interesting, right? This seems a little slow for a tier 6 minion, but if you're getting a ton of gold and you're ramping really hard off of all that gold and acceleration that your pirates are providing, then I could definitely see this making a big difference. I wonder if I can zoom in more for you guys, by the way. I realized how small these are just now. My apologies. Second half of the video is going to be way better than the first. So, yeah, I don't know. Might be a little too slow, but obviously it could be nuts, right? It's just like you not only get the awesome potential golden directly, but you also get to play it, which means you get another golden and you can start doing some crazy stuff if you power spike into this early. So next up here, let's take a look at the elementals. We got a tier 3 Smogger. He's a 3/3. Battlecry, give a friendly elemental stats equal to your tavern tier. Okay, so this feels like a replacement for the arcane guy at tier 3, arcane assistant, so that you don't have to go wide. You can focus in on a single unit and it scales well with your tavern tier. So that seems much cooler to me. Next up's the Dazzling Light Spawn. Avenge 2. Elementals in Bob's Tavern have +1/+1 for the rest of the game. Oh, okay, so kind of like a one-time Nomi trigger here. Well, not one time, because it can obviously happen multiple times with Avenge if you have a lot of little elementals dying. And it's tier 4, so a little bit of a faster scale there. And it doesn't feel like you're committing as much, perhaps, like with Nomi, because you don't have to spend gold. It kind of just plays with you. And I wonder if Nomi went away. Nomi did not go away? So Nomi is still in there. Oh my god, you could get some crazy elemental scaling happening here. Next up's the Recycling Wraith, tier 4, 5/4. After you play an elemental, your next refresh costs 0. Oh, okay, so borrowing that effect from the tier 1 unit, but making it something that cycles throughout the course of the game as opposed to a one-time effect. Could really help you find the elementals you need to trigger Chef Nomi, and also just, of course, to find triples to start stacking these stats really quickly. That seems cool. Then finally, the Master of Realities, a tier 6 taunt. After a friendly elemental gains stats, gain +1/+1. Oh, okay, so this scales based on other stuff getting buffed, which, interestingly, this stuff buffs the Tavern, which are not friendly elementals, so this wouldn't gain when those gained. So this is more like, I guess, maybe to play with Rag. We still have Rag and we lost Gar. Yeah, so this is definitely a Gar replacement that scales better, arguably, right? Because that one's attack didn't go up. This actually scales attack as well, which is pretty sweet. Also, this dude just looks awesome. So next up are the Quillboar, which had the least changes. I guess they're pretty new, so that makes sense. The Gem Splitter, a tier 3. After a friendly minion loses Divine Shield, gain a Blood Gem. Okay, so this is obviously meant to be played with the tier 2 Divine Shield Quillboar guy to help you get more Blood Gems. Now, I wonder what this did replace. Did this replace the tier 3? Oh, it replaced Thorn Collar. Okay, which was a battle cry. So this is a bit of a different spin. I wonder, are there other Divine Shield cards for Quillboar? Not necessarily, but this can be played in any Divine Shield thing. Like, this could be a way to generate 1/1 buffs for your mech build with a bunch of Divine Shields, right? So maybe a little bit of a side Divine Shield synergy utility there, which is pretty cool. So next up here is neutral. The Budding Green Thumb dude. I think we saw this art pop up in the press stuff for Blizzard, and I wasn't sure what it was. He's a neutral tier 3, 1/4, avenge 3, give adjacent minions +2/+1 permanently. Okay, so that's cool. Just a little in a pinch buff here that's not battlecry based, but instead combat based. So that's nifty. You can kind of keep him around for a few turns if you want, as opposed to battlecries, which you kind of toss away. Next up's the Witchwing Nest Matron, and I guess maybe finally for new minions, this is a tier 4. Avenge 3, add a random battle cry minion to your hand. Oh, okay, so a bit of a value generator that fits into any build. That's cool. So maybe another in a pinch value sort of card. Can keep around for a couple turns, maybe just get some fun stuff out of it. Also, Arm of the Empire is getting changed. It's a 4/4 instead of a 4/5 now, it looks like. So that's pretty cool. And here's the rest of the removed minions. It's hard for me to break down what exactly this means for any given build. There are some certainly interesting stuff, like Karaji Harbinger Herald goes away. So this is like often a kind of a gap filler tempo card. If you got some taunts hanging around, you can use this to keep up. That's going away. Warden of Old is, I guess, an economy card going away. I'm just thinking about other stuff that looks kind of important. Nothing too crazy or important looking here. A lot of cards that aren't really that played or interesting going away. Junkbot used to be a pretty important card for Mechs way back to the beginning of Battlegrounds, but hasn't been very relevant even after getting buffed. Sneeds is not a big loss. Yeah. Oh, Mithrax is going away. That's pretty important. That's sometimes a really nice gap filler for Menagerie builds. You hit this for your tier 5, and it helps keep you up for a few rounds while you push for other stuff. So that's a pretty big deal. Oh, and Faceless Tavern Goer is going away. That's a big deal too, because that can really change games. And I think this is probably too good of a card anyway. It would always power spike. You could hit these crazy triples out of it and stuff. And it felt like sometimes the first person or two to grab those Faceless Tavern Goers out of the tavern just got such an enormous advantage. That's often unseen too, by the way. So it's kind of a secret, maybe problem card. So that's a big change for consistency as well. So yeah, those are all the new Battlegrounds minions, man. Really crazy stuff. Some big changes. Just gonna completely change the game. So I'm really excited to give this stuff a try. As always, you guys know I like trying out the new Battleground stuff. We'll probably do 4 or 5 videos for moving back to regular scheduled programming. That said, I'm also thinking about maybe doing a Battlegrounds video series, kind of like I did the Back to Duels. I might do a triple threat Battleground series at some point, maybe this month, maybe next, who knows. But if I'm enjoying all the new stuff, that could definitely be a reason to kick that off. So anyway, share your thoughts on these cards down below. Any cool synergies or adjustments or big changes to the game that I don't have the insights to identify. I mean, please share those. I'm curious to read them myself to get a little heads up on the competition tomorrow when this releases, which is pretty crazy. So all that said, thanks much for watching. Look forward to hearing your thoughts. And until next time, game on.
Step aside.